Good evening. I'm Luke Hattelstad. I am the Public Information Officer for Arapahoe County, and I want to welcome you to this edition of Conversations with a Commissioner, tonight featuring Commissioner Bill Holen from District 5 in Arapahoe County. This is one of the quarterly events we do. We typically would like to do them in person so the commissioners can get out and meet their constituents, but of course we're unable to do that right now. So for the last 2 quarters, we've been doing them online. And we are going to be doing these with all 5 commissioners over the next several weeks. We have another one that is coming up on Thursday evening with Commissioner Kathleen Conti from District 1. And the format, as you will see, is going to be a discussion about the latest county business and about questions that the commissioner can answer for you about what the latest is for us. And we also have a short video to show you before we get started. One thing to know if you're on the phone is, and you want to ask a question of Commissioner Holen, you should dial *3, and that will put you through to an operator, and they'll put you in a line to get the commissioner's ear once we are done doing the slideshow. And then the other thing to notice about this is that this is not a COVID call, so we don't have any medical experts on this call. But we can answer sort of basic business about how the Board of County Commissioners is dealing with the COVID crisis and things like that. And of course, we will be talking about some of the programs we have that provide relief from those of you who have been affected by COVID. We also are going to be doing a bigger town hall with all 5 commissioners and our elections officials on Thursday, October 29th. That's just the last week before the election. And so with that, I would like to show you this short video about Commissioner Holen.
These are some of the awards that I've received.
Arapahoe County Commissioner Bill Holen is a Vietnam Army veteran and former member of the Colorado Air National Guard.
I served in Vietnam 1967, 1968, which probably was the most traumatic time to serve there. I learned a lot from that experience. Number one, the pain and suffering of war, but more importantly, the importance of leadership.
Now in his second term as County Commissioner for District 5, which covers the city of Glendale and parts of Aurora, Holen is committed to helping veterans access better health care, improving the job market by partnering with local business leaders, and perhaps most important,
thank you all for being here.
His commitment to curbing the opioid drug problem.
We're averaging between 2 and 7 people a week dying of overdose from prescription drugs.
Opioid addiction is growing so fast
This issue strikes everybody in this county.
that Holen organized a town hall and invited the community to discuss the issue and find solutions.
I think a lot of people aren't aware of the significant dangers that these prescription pain-killing drugs have on our society.
With his passion to improve the county he calls home, Holen says he wants to leave a legacy as one who advocated for others.
You can do it. I've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times.
A commissioner that listens and speaks for those who don't have the voice.
Commissioner Bill Holen can be reached at 303-795-4630 or bholen@arapahoegov.com. For more information on the Board of County Commissioners, visit arapahoegov.com.
Okay. And one more reminder, if you are on the phone and want to ask a question, just dial *3 and they will put you through to an operator. If you want to ask a question from one of our online platforms, either Facebook or our town hall webpage, you can plug a question into the comments section and hit send, and we will get to it when we have a chance toward the end. So with that, I will introduce Commissioner Holen.
Thank you, Luke, and thank you all for participating in this town hall. I'm Bill Holen. I'm your county commissioner. I represent essentially North Aurora and Glendale. I've been in office for the last nearly 11 years. I'm up for re-election this November for my last and final term. I'll be termed out. I'm honored to be here today, and I've always made sure that my relationship with my constituents is a transparent one and open for listening to the concerns and providing ensuring that the necessary services that we provide as a county are available to anyone. We're facing now a real crisis with COVID-19, and it's impacting the county very significantly, and all of the country. I'd like to talk briefly about the election coming up, because I think this is an important election for all of us. We have had a large turnout for the primary, the June 30th primary, which is the number of people that voted is of historic proportions. We are committed as a county to a good process and increased communications with our voters, anticipating, particularly in this year, when we're likely to see more mail-in voting, mail-in ballots than usual. Our turnout so far is very significant in the number of ballots that have already been received in the county, well over 25,000 and growing every day. So those who have received a mail-in ballot, which is all voters in the county, please fill it out and get it into the mail as soon as possible. Or you can go to any of the drop-off points around the county. You can go on our website to Clerk and Recorder and voting, and you'll be able to have a list of and location of all the drop-off ballot locations. The ballots were mailed out on October 9th, and in-person voting centers are open now through Election Day. Visit arapahoevotes.com to check on your registration status and find the nearest voting center or drop box in your neighborhood. We've just completed the United States Census, and I want to thank all the participants in the county who have filled out their census forms and sent them in so that data can be collected. The census provides the federal government with a population and breakdown of the various ethnic and family groups by which our federal government determines what resources are sent to each state and how those federal dollars are distributed within the county. We are very proud of our open space program. We have had for the last 2 cycles an open space tax on sales tax, which has brought in significant amounts of money to help us expand, improve both our open space parks as well as our trails. We're currently undergoing a master plan to create a strategy for the preservations of open space in the county and examine how we care for and enhance the lands we're currently set aside for preservation, and that will help us make a case for extending the tax system by which we earn money so that we can expand our trails and our open space area. Thousands and thousands of Arapahoe County residents and people from all over the state utilize our trails and our parks and our open space parks for recreation purposes, whether you're a bike rider or a hiker. We're currently in the process of putting together our transportation plan, which will examine the needs of our transportation system, both in terms of our highways, mass transit, and bike trails throughout the county. The county continues to grow. We must work for the municipal partners and our residents to ensure that we can help manage growth and reduce as best we can to the traffic congestion and look for alternative modes of transportation. We have been engaged with the cities to figure out if there is a better way to fund our infrastructure countywide. Currently, the county is in the process of dispersing care funds that effectively deal with and provide additional funding for municipalities and the county to address the COVID crisis. We provide aids to municipalities. We distribute PPE, personal protective equipment, to hospitals and nursing homes and other cities to ensure the health and safety of our first responders and our citizens in general. The county was given $114.5 million in finance COVID aid, relief aid for programs and expenses. We are sharing about 45% of these funds, or $51.6 million, with our 13 communities. The amount are allocated by population size, and we're using the rest of the overall funds to help fund everything from making our facilities safer and supporting our residents, particularly our vulnerable populations. We already rolled out numerous programs around this, and will continue to do so until throughout the 2020 this year. To date, we've provided hundreds of county businesses with millions of dollars in grants to help those small businesses in particular deal with the COVID crisis and the economic and the adverse economic effects that have been a result of the COVID virus. We've helped hundreds of households with rent and mortgage assistance, recently adding an additional $500,000 in program funds to help them. Funding our nonprofit health centers, food banks, and homeless partners to address behavior and physical health, food, and housing to these insecure needs that this vulnerable population have. We've partnered with Stride, the City of Aurora, and Lincoln Health facilities to offer mobile testing sites across the county. We will be shortly opening up a new testing site in Aurora at the athletic fields off of Colfax to provide rapid testing for those people who are concerned about the COVID infection. This is essential to ensuring that we can get a handle on the people who have been affected and provide them with treatment and identify those who come in contact with those individuals who may also be infected by the virus and more likely than not be asymptomatic, which means they don't present their infection for some time. We all have to work together to begin to address this problem, and particularly until we find a virus, and that may take months or maybe even years. We are asking our citizens, with the recommendations of our Tri-County Health Department and the governor, that we need to wear masks to ensure that we cannot pass on or receive infections from the coronavirus. We also suggest that you follow the guidelines of social distancing, washing your hands, and avoiding large crowds. This is really the only effective way right now in which we can put a stop to the spreading of this virus. But it's going to take each and every one of us as citizens of Colorado and of this country to begin to stop the spread or reduce the spread of this insidious and terrible disease. We need to support the Department of Health, the Colorado Department of Health and Environment, and the Tri-County Health Department to begin to, for all citizens, to support our contact tracing and of those people who may have been in contact with someone that is infected by this disease. Please cooperate if you get a call from the health department, and to ensure that you are adequately tested to ensure that you're not infected with the disease and we can contain this. We're very proud of our Office of Economic our Office of Emergency Management in the county, which is the agency within the county that is helping identify the needs, the medical needs of our county, to ensure that our hospitals, first responders, and our nursing homes receive adequate support of personal protective equipment, respirators, and other necessary items that help us prevent infections and treat individuals who are infected. We're seeing a growth in the number of infections in the state and in Arapahoe County. The governor has expressed his concern in a public health order, which is asking for a more stringent acknowledgement of this disease, requiring mask wearing in public, outside and inside, to avoid large crowds and limit those crowds to 10 or less people, and other factors that will help prevent the spread of this disease. The county also has available funding to help citizens who are impacted by the coronavirus. And our Human Services Department has programs available to help individuals who are facing the potential of homelessness. We'll provide vouchers for those people to help them find adequate housing during this crisis. We're also providing CARES funds for food banks and Meals on Wheels organization affected by this crisis on the top of the programs we already administer. And we are using CARE funding to reimburse behavior and physical health organizations for telehealth, PPE, and sanitizing and sanitization supplies. So I'd like to turn it back to Luke and open this up for public comment and questions. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. And just to remind those of you on the call, if you are on the phone and want to ask a question, dial *3 and you'll be sent to an operator who will put you in the queue to get your question answered. We also have some online questions that you can submit one if you have one on our Facebook comment page or on in the entry field in the town hall page. And as you can see, if you were with us last quarter, which was only about 6 weeks ago, excuse me, there hasn't been a lot of new business since then. And we did a more extensive update about the budget and things like that. But a lot of what we showed you tonight will sort of feed into those kind of questions. So again, *3 if you're on the phone, and file a question in the messaging box if you're on the web. The first thing, before we get back into some of the CARES stuff, Commissioner, let's talk a little bit about some of your recent work. You've been very instrumental in helping try to get the Space Command headquarters into Arapahoe County. Can you talk a little bit about what you've been doing with that?
Well, thank you, Luke. Yes. For those who have don't understand or are not informed about what's happening with our military and our space programs, the U.S. Congress recently approved and the President signed authorization to create a new space command within the United States Air Force, and also develop a third military department called Space Force, which will devote its focus primarily on offensive space activities above our atmosphere. I have been a member of the Colorado Space Coalition board for nearly over 10 years now, and have been a strong advocate of space, having worked with Senator Gary Hart as a aide, and Ed Perlmutter as a congressional aide. I have been focusing on national security and defense issues for a majority of my career. One of the things that we've understood in terms of our national security policy is that space is becoming a new battleground for both defensive and offensive activities. With satellites and um, the the intelligence and cybersecurity problems facing our country, space has become even more of a necessary area for us to develop our defensive and offensive capabilities. I have been very much involved in trying to convince the Air Force and the Department of Defense, first of all, to create the program, which I was involved in when I was a member of a staffer in the United States Senate, helping create the concept of the initial Space Command, and have been appointed by General Raymond to be a advisor to Space Force and Space Command in Colorado Springs. We are seeking to make sure that the Space Command, which will be a growing organization, finds its home permanently in Colorado. We'd love to have it at Buckley Air Force Base, which is a great facility for and capable of handling a major command. The 460th Space Wing, which is there now, handles all the defensive capabilities to identify missile attacks that may come onto the United States and provide information to North American Air Defense Command and the Air Force's offensive capability or defensive capabilities through their organization. We have got the support of the Chamber of Commerce and the Aurora Economic Development Organization to begin to strive and see if we can convince Congress that Space Command becomes a reality for Colorado, whether it's in Aurora or Colorado Springs. That decision will be made sometime after the election in November, but we'll continue to support our local efforts to convince the Air Force that Space Command can be a viable opportunity for finding its home in Colorado. That will include eventually over 13,000 new jobs and enhance new missions for our aerospace and defense contractors throughout Colorado.
So that's one of my questions. We would get a lot of new jobs. We would get federal funding, presumably, and obviously it would be a prestigious post to have here in the state. Is that right?
That's correct, and it could amount to well over $1 billion in new federal spending that would flow into the community by increased military and defense personnel, and particular aerospace, which we have a great number of competent aerospace companies that would be part of that program to support the Space Command.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to change directions a little bit here. We're going to go to a phone call, and this is Edith from Aurora, who is asking about COVID testing, and we can give you an answer for that. Let me put you live, and Edith, go ahead.
Hi, I live in Aurora. I want to know, where can we get free COVID testing?
Okay.
Well, thank you, Edith. We're working right now in the next couple weeks to have a free testing site at the Aurora Athletic Parks just off of Colfax, and that should be open within the next week. And all you have to do is go over there and they'll test you for free. Eventually, that testing facility after the election will be moved over to a location within Aurora so that it'll be more convenient. But right now you can do that. And also, I think that the Anschutz Medical Center has free testing available as well.
Up on Commissioner Holen's comment. Once the election is over, that testing site from the Aurora Sports Park will move to Del Mar Park, which is 6th Avenue just west of 225. We are also planning to open a new testing center in Centennial, The details of that will be coming up shortly. And then for anyone who wants to just find out in general where free testing is, they should visit our website, which is arapahoegov.com/Arapahoe Cares. And that's all one word, Arapahoe Cares. And then under that, you'll find a listing for testing sites that are just in the whole metro area. Depending on where you live, the Aurora Sports Park's not that close for a lot of people, but other places might be. And so that's a good way to look for it. And then also the Colorado State's 211 site is also a good way to find testing options. So we encourage everyone to do that. And as the commissioner said earlier, between testing and contact tracing, we definitely want to, get as many people tested who feel that they need it or feel that they may have been exposed. And, you have to keep in mind that this can be an asymptomatic spread, so you may not feel sick, but if you were around somebody who was sick, then it's a good idea to get tested. So thank you for that question. And then, Commissioner, to go back to your military background, you mentioned that you were, what we saw in the video, that you were in Vietnam back in the 60s. And of course, you've been very active in veterans issues ever since then. Tell us a little bit about the Veterans Service Office position that we recently created with Aurora.
Thank you, Luke. Yes, I'm a disabled Vietnam veteran and have spent a majority of my career as a veterans advocate, working both with Senator Gary Hart and Congressman Ed Perlmutter. But one of my passions since I've been commissioner was to establish a full-time office, Veteran Service Office here in Aurora. Given the financial problems that have been part of doing this, we were able to partner with Adams County and the city of Aurora to share in some of the costs to set up an office here in Aurora. The plan is to probably by the end of November have a full-time veteran service officer located at the Altura Center in Aurora, just off of Colfax and Chambers, I believe, and that will be able to serve our veterans who need assistance from the Veterans Administration and other programs that are open to veterans. I've devoted my whole life, pretty much most of my life, to developing programs and helping to help veterans who are in need. The Veterans Administration is one of the third largest organizations in the federal government. Over 26 million veterans are being served, and we want to make sure as a society that we take care of those individuals, both men and women, who valiantly serve this country with honor. And health care with the new VA is going to be available, and veterans who are seeking benefits can go to our new office at Altura Plaza to have their veteran benefits reviewed and sign up for both VA disability programs as well as education.
Excellent. We have another phone call question. This one is again about the Space Command. Before I get to it, let me remind everyone, if you're on the phone and want to ask a question, please dial *3 and you'll be put through to an operator. And you can also put a question into our comment boards on the Town Hall page or our Facebook page. But this question is from John in Deer Trail. So go ahead, John.
Yes, good evening, Commissioner. What do you see as the fundamental difference between Space Command in Aurora and Spaceport in Watkins, Colorado? Are they related? Are they going to be related? And what do you see as Arapahoe County's involvement with Spaceport?
Well, number one, Spaceport is in Adams County, but I'm a commercial pilot, so I'm very much involved in aviation. The concept of Spaceport is basically a NASA program, and this authorizes or provides permits for space launches from airports throughout the country. The concept being, this one is being financed by a Japanese aerospace firm. And the concept is to have a an airplane, a jet airplane, attached to a missile, a spacecraft, and to fly up to a high altitude to avoid the costs and dangers of ground launch capability. And they'll release this spacecraft at an altitude of probably over 50,000 feet. At that time, the spacecraft will ignite its rocket engines and to an altitude within, actually in space, and the passengers will be able to experience weightlessness, and then the aircraft will re-enter the atmosphere and return to the spaceport at Front Range Airport. So it's primarily a commercial project right now, but it begins to open up a whole plethora of opportunities within the aerospace industry. There's currently a company in the process of building a model or a reduced size supersonic aircraft, a hypersonic aircraft that will be able to fly from Denver to Tokyo in less than 2 hours by going up into the atmosphere and traveling at 2 Mach speed to foreign countries. This is being developed in the process of eventually building an airliner, a space liner essentially, that will be able to do that, carrying multiple passengers, similar to what was done in the late 70s with the supersonic or hypersonic aircraft that provided passenger service to Europe. So it looks, Colorado is very, very well positioned for significant opportunities within the aerospace industry. Space Command, however, is separate. The concept of Space Command and Space Force will provide. Space Force essentially will provide, and Space Command will provide offensive capabilities in space. The space is becoming a new frontier for warfighters throughout the world, and the dangers that were perceived that this new organization will address will be to protect our satellites and our space programs. Every aspect of our personal lives now are vulnerable to being shut down by simply taking out several of our satellites currently in orbit around the Earth, and this could literally destroy our defense capabilities. You wouldn't be able to pump gas at your gas station, or use your card in a credit card in commercial purchases. So, not to mention the total destruction of our finance system. So, the United States, the Air Force, and the Department of Defense are taking aggressive efforts to develop a program which will focus on defending our defense and commercial satellites from any kind of offensive attacks from foreign powers.
Yeah, that's very interesting stuff. So back here on the ground, we are going through, as everybody knows, a once-in-a-lifetime crisis, hopefully once in a lifetime. And so the county has a number of programs to assist with this. You touched on a few of them in your presentation. I know you work closely with Community Resources, and that's the department that includes Arapahoe Douglas Works, which offers a lot of job training and housing assistance. Can you talk a little bit about what you've been working on with Community Resources the last few months?
Sure. The COVID virus has had a tremendous impact not only on the health and safety of the people of this country. I think today I noticed that after a briefing that we've lost over 220,000 Americans have died as a result of the infection. Over 8 million Americans currently are been diagnosed with the COVID virus. Some of the states like North Dakota, Arizona, Michigan and others have seen tremendous spikes in the infection of this disease, and are really are expressing great concern over the ability to treat these individuals who are hospitalized. Our emergency rooms and our ICU beds are near capacity in some of those states. Colorado is somewhat fortunate, but we're seeing a rise now in infection rates that has caused the CDPHE, the Colorado Department of Health and Environment, to begin to look at changing some of the restrictions that we have currently, and particularly in Arapahoe County, have seen a reduction of, but it's likely that we're going to see an increase in some of those figures and requirements. For example, we met with the governor today, and he is going to request that we wear our masks, require us to all wear masks both inside and outside, and respect the social distancing aspect. Reduce the percentage, the number of people that can gather in locations, and make sure that we wash our hands and avoid infection. For our county, we have initiated several major programs to begin to help those individuals and all of us who have been financially and economically impacted by the COVID virus. We have just initiated the second phase of a program to provide small businesses with grants up to $20,000 if they qualify, to small businesses, to just help them overcome some of the financial losses that they have incurred as a result of the virus, and particularly restaurants and some of the small businesses that have been impacted. We don't want to see our businesses close. We want to help them as a county and as a nation to be able to sustain this pandemic, which has been hard on all of us. We also, through our social services program, provide help both in finding housing for those people who are faced with homelessness, mortgage and rent assistance, and other programs that, such as food programs, which help people who have been adversely impacted by this virus. We'll continue to work with our community leaders and the cities and organizations that help these individuals who are physically and health-wise impacted by this coronavirus.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, and just to follow up on the commissioner's comments, I would remind everyone to get more information about all this. Visit our website at arapahoegov.com/Arapahoe Cares, and you can find information about all these programs that we've mentioned tonight, about testing and about ways that you can get relief as an individual or if you're a business owner. The other thing to keep in mind is that a lot of the county's CARES budget goes to unincorporated parts of the county. So you also would want to check in with your individual. If you live in an incorporated town, you want to check with them to see what kind of relief programs they have, because we have shared a significant chunk of that money with our communities. So there are quite a few resources, and we just want people to take advantage of them as much as possible. And related to some of the issues you just mentioned with community resources, you have a longstanding advocacy for the anti-opioid efforts that we've seen, really across the country. And of course, this predated COVID, but it's been intensified, I guess, by the COVID crisis. So what's the latest on your anti-opioid efforts and where we are with that?
Well, that's true. We became concerned about this nearly 2 years ago when the epidemic was beginning to rear its ugly head in Colorado. And I worked with both local law enforcement, with the sheriff's office, with our coroner's office, and with Tri-County Health to develop a program that would not only provide public relations, public information to those people who are suffering, but also working with various community organizations that provide help to get people who are addicted to those insidious drugs, so that they can get help and get off them and productive life. We did reduce significantly some of those deaths over the last several years, but with the COVID virus, the unemployment rate, we've seen increases in addiction, in domestic violence, homelessness, and the other issues that are impacted directly by unemployment. I think this last year we just hit in the state over 560 deaths that are directly related to opioid overdoses. So we need to continue to work on efforts to reduce and help those people who find themselves addicted to drugs, and help them find a path back to sobriety and a drug-free lifestyle. The problem is that we've seen that some of our major pharmaceutical companies have been involved in accelerating this addiction due to presenting false information about their addictive nature, and the county, along with the state attorney general's office, have brought suit against several of the major drug manufacturers, and we're moving forward with a settlement agreement, which may occur sooner than later, that will provide us and the state with funding that we can develop new programs to help deal with the issue of drug addiction and its impact upon families. This will be dispersed. We're negotiating with the Attorney General's office right now to find a way that provides a fair and equitable disbursement of these funds, which will be in the millions of dollars, to both communities, counties, and nonprofit organizations that deal with these problems and help people. So that's a good thing that's come out of it, that the courts are convinced that these drug manufacturers were not truthful and promoted the use of these drugs to physicians, which has really been at the tip of the spear in terms of creating our population, or helping our population, encouraging our population to become addicted to these substances.
Right. Yeah, and obviously the COVID thing has made it that much more intensified. We've touched on a lot of COVID. What would you say, as a commissioner with a certain amount of experience in Arapahoe County, what has been your biggest challenge, or our biggest challenge in the county as a result of the COVID crisis?
Well, the county has been, I would say that its impact on the financial crisis that has accompanied this COVID virus. Many small businesses have gone out of business. Well, the county is not as impacted by the financial crisis as our municipalities are, because they're dependent totally upon tax revenues from sales tax, whereas the county is dependent, nearly 80% of our revenues come from the property tax program, which has not been significantly impacted, although we do rely on a small percentage of our revenues from that help fund our open space problem. So I think the financial and human tragedy that's occurred is one of the things that are most impactful upon our citizens. We have to begin to work together in ways that we can, number one, I think, begin to attack the insidious nature of the COVID virus to help limit the spread. And we can do that by simply doing the only thing right now that our scientists and physicians are saying is to prevent the spread. And to prevent the spread of the virus, we wear masks inside and outside. We keep our distance away from the general population through social distancing, and we wash our hands and avoid bringing home the virus to our families. I know that we had a meeting, a public meeting, last week that addressed the issues of returning to schools, and I see in the paper today that the Aurora Public Schools and Denver Public Schools are not going to start secondary education classes until the end of the year, as a caution for trying to prevent the spread of virus in the classroom, both for its teachers and for its students. So I think those are some of the things that we have to be concerned about. We have to find ways of providing alternative education programs that will ensure that our children do not fall too far behind in the education process. In addition, we need to need to support our small businesses through grants and through disbursement of CARES funding, which the federal government has distributed to us, and we're distributing it to cities and counties and using it for other opportunities to fight this pandemic. But more importantly, we have to begin to work together as a county, both our municipalities, but more importantly, our citizens. We have to stand up and fight against this virus. And to do it, we have to rely on scientific data that shows the best way to prevent it. And wait and give sufficient time so that a vaccination can be developed by our scientists to help prevent further spread of it. But we can't be complacent. We cannot wait on a magic bullet to solve our problems with the COVID virus. We have to do it individually. And that's the most effective way right now to prevent further infection with our citizens. Wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands on a regular basis, and avoid contact with people that aren't in the general public that may be carrying the virus. We need to protect our families. We need to protect our children, protect our parents who are more susceptible to
Yes, indeed. So, sorry, we have a little network static here. One of the things we've all had to do as citizens is adapt to our normal way of life, or from our normal way of life. How has the board and the county adapted its programs and services as a result of the COVID virus?
Well, that's a great question, Luke. I think we have been operating since March, I think, as a remote government. We have majority of our meetings are done online. We stay at home. We don't meet frequently at the county offices. A lot of our programs, particularly our human services programs, our IT department, and others that normally have a direct relationship with the public have gone remote. We still have our clerk and recorder's office open on a minimal basis, where people can get their license, pay their taxes, and other functions that the county governments provide. But a majority of our people are working from home on computers, and we're finding that to be a very efficient and effective way to ensure that we have the best possible governance procedures to serve our citizens. The county we've totally stopped our travel program. The county commissioners do attend conferences, but since the virus hit, we have suspended all travel. We don't have public meetings. Our meetings are like this on a through our computers and telephone town halls. So we've really shuttered the county up. But the important thing to remember is we haven't shut the county down. We are
Right.
still performing our functions, our social services, our law enforcement, our clerk and recorder's office, our assessor's office, and all the functions that a county provides our citizens are still operating, albeit many of them on a remote basis.
Yeah, speaking as an employee, I think we've been surprised by how much we can do virtually. It doesn't replace the in-person, interactions. Obviously, an event like this, we would be holding in person, so you could actually shake hands with your constituents and talk to them a little bit, have more informal conversations. But it's been kind of amazing to see the number of things we are able to do. So you mentioned the budget earlier and how the effect from COVID on the county budget might be a little more delayed because of the way property taxes work and the biannual assessments and things like that. If you we have an online question here that says if you could fund one program fully right now, what would it be of all of our programs?
I'm sorry, did you say fund or
Fund? Yeah.
I didn't fund. Well, I think we have, fortunately or unfortunately, as some people may say, we have certain programs that are mandated by law, whether it's a federally mandated program or the state legislature provides us that we have to do these programs. We're required to do them. In many cases, we're funding. For example, the federal government provides a lot of the money for our human services department in terms of TANF programs and disability programs, hiring through our hiring and job training through our Arapahoe Douglas Works program. All of those have to continue to function, and the county pays a small percentage of the operating costs in a cost savings sharing manner. But those have to continue. So we're seeing, we have to give people their driver's license, their license plates and other thing, registration. We have to continue to file deeds, and we need to continue our program to provide permitting for construction projects and home construction projects. All that has to continue. So those are necessary. But I think most importantly, from my perspective, I think the most important program that we have is to maintain our efforts to provide safety to our citizens through our sheriff's department, provide funding for our fire departments, South Metro Fire Department, provide help to our citizens who are facing unemployment, and provide opportunities for people to retrain and find sustainable and jobs which ensure sufficient funds to protect their family and meet their necessary needs. So those are some of the things that we're just going to have to continue to fund. We're facing, not this year and not really next year to a degree, some concerns about significant reductions in our revenue streams for the county. And when that happens, we're going to have to take a hard look at the level of services that we provide. And currently the county is working on a strategic plan to deal with that, and working. We finished our budget for 2021 with no significant decreases in our budget for services that we're providing our citizens. But the following year, we're going to have to look at ways of either improving our revenue or finding ways to reduce our overall expenditures.
Okay. We've mentioned a couple testing centers in Aurora, the Aurora Sports Park, and that's going to go through the election. After the election, it will go to Del Mar Park. We have an online question here that's asking, why do we not have more coronavirus testing centers in Aurora?
Well, I think that we've been working with both the city of Aurora, Anschutz Medical Center, some of our other medical programs throughout the city and the county that provide testing. The delay has been, in terms of the county's a county-funded program, has been in terms of finding sufficient funds to cover our COVID funds, or our CARES funds that we've gotten, will allow us to be able to increase the number of testing sites available through December of this year. So we'll be able to increase our testing capability. As statewide, I think we have, according to our figures this morning, I think we have made almost 1.9 million tests have been done in the state, and that number is proportionately defined by the number of tests that we've had in the county. So, based on our population and the number of sites available, but we're committed to ensuring that we have adequate testing for our citizens. As I said earlier, this is one of the most important functions right now that we can have to find those individuals who are infected and be able to determine where and who they may have exposed their illness to through contact tracing. We've given financial assistance to the Tri-County Health Department, and they've hired, I think, almost 200 people that are working right now to contact those people that may have been exposed to the virus. And this is one of the methodologies that we use to make sure that those people are quarantined and adequately tested to ensure that they don't continue to spread. We've heard that one or two people from China have exposed 20, 30 people, and then that just get exponentially large. Currently, there are over 8 million people in this country who are suffering from infection from this pandemic, and 220,000 people have died. So it's a serious problem, and we need to work together, as I said earlier, to bring an end to it, because there's no magic bullet. We can't just snap our fingers and it goes away. And it's not going to go away by itself. It's going to go away by us being conscious to ensure that we don't ourselves get infected and we don't infect our neighbors and families. So it's an individual responsibility. So let's work together to get this done.
Well, that leads me to what I believe should be our final question. We're at the top of the hour. You mentioned earlier that you are a licensed pilot, and of course, this COVID situation has tested our bipartisanship. It has tested our cooperation. But earlier this year, you were able to use your flying skills to deliver some PPE supplies with a Republican colleague. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we had determined that two of the hospitals in Grand Junction were short of PPE supplies, that is, personal protective equipment, masks, gowns, disinfectant, and that kind of stuff. So Commissioner Van Ort from Arapahoe County and I picked up over 500 pounds of these supplies out at Centennial Airport, and we flew them together to Grand Junction and got them distributed. And both hospitals, St. Mary's being one of them, were very, very happy that we were able to get those there. And I think that's just an example of how important it is to put partisan politics aside and work together, and we can accomplish a lot. And that was just a small effort that we made to help protect the first responders in Grand Junction. And I think we all need to take these opportunities to reach out and help people in need, and we just need to do that. That's very, very important to be good citizens of this country and support those individuals who are in need of our help.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Commissioner, and thanks to all of you for joining. We will be having another event called Conversations with the Commissioner with Commissioner Kathleen Conti from District 1 on Thursday. That one will be at 5:30, so a bit earlier than we usually go. And then also, please join us next Thursday, the 29th at 7 o'clock for a full lineup of commissioners and election officials and some medical officials. And we will be talking about holding the healthiest election we possibly can. Thanks very much. Have a good evening.